Okay, so I have my new color and I painted it on, and you saw at the end it was just this garish Cookie Monster blue. Here's what happens. When you click on your paintbrush tool, I've got my color, you have other choices. You can control the blending mode of the paintbrush itself. You can control the opacity of it. And the flow is how much paint you're putting on. So I thought that was way too much paint. I like the color, but I didn't want it to be that much paint. So I'm going to reduce the flow. And now the color works, but it doesn't take away that this is my focal point. Now, I would just continue on this vein, right? I would continue working with my different colors that work off that harmonious color palette. Use that. And making adjustments to my brush. And then maybe I want a little bit of a lighter color here. And I would just keep going until I was finished. Now, let's see, upper left I did 90%. I think that works. I mean, I think I would keep going until I would paint I would color my hair and my skin. And with my skin, I would use a very, very light shade of one of these other colors. That's harmonious. I'm not sure. I go back and look at the color scheme here. Whoops, wrong thing. Yeah, I would probably use one of these other colors, one of these green colors maybe. Where's my paintbrush? There it is. Okay, and then I'm going to bring that flow really way down. Oh, it didn't. Oops, I didn't put it in. And then I'm going to come way over here. There we go. And now use that color. Right? Take my time. I know I'm doing this kind of fast. And take your time and make sure you get it nice and you get it what you want it, need it to get. And then reduce my brush. And then just keep going and adding different colors until everything has been finished. And then I'm going to turn that layer back on, and I maybe want to do something with that upper layer. Let's see. Filter. I don't have filter gallery. Let's see. Let me just see if I use something with one of those neural filters. Oh no, it's not what I want. I was just trying to take that upper layer and change the this is like way too much. Let's go that one. And just change the lines, the strokes of the lines to something a little more interesting. I'm going to take the color out completely. And I'm just not liking that. So another thing you can do, let's see, is with that upper, it's going to just keep docking it. It loves to dock it. It drives me nuts because I don't like things docked. Okay. Image adjustments. And you have brightness contrast and increase the contrast. Reduce the brightness just a little bit. And it really makes those lines pop out more. I might also want to reduce the opacity. So here's one of the things with Photoshop. It's never a one size fits all. It's a playing with it back and forth until you get it to where you want it to be. Okay. And now that I've done that, I want to go in here to my vivid light and bring that opacity down a little bit as well. I still want it to be pop art, but I don't want it to be that intense. Okay. And then just keep going until you're happy with it. Sometimes I do this and I just absolutely love it. And other times I'm just like, well, that's not that great. Here's what I'm going to tell you. Do it one time. Save it. And then start over and do it again. The second time you do it, it'll be better. This is almost always true. I've done this a whole bunch of times, and sometimes I like the way it works. Sometimes I don't. I'm not in love with this. I think it's okay. I've done it before where it was better. Sometimes that happens, right? I really like the colors, though. I think the colors worked really well. I think I would like to take some time and really clean up this overlay that I have. I'm not 100% sold on it. I might want to pull it off. So what you can do is just, create a new canvas. Right? So this one I want to be 6 by 6. And I'm just going to pull this image off into this. Oops, you can come with it. There we go. Pull this in over here. And work with it from here, and then maybe bring it back. Right now I might want to go in and, see, what I might want to do is that eraser tool and clean up. I didn't like all that texture. It was too much texture. Pop art does sometimes have texture, but if it does, it tends to be not, whoops, I'm getting out of control here because I'm trying to go fast to show you guys I'm just out of control. But you can clean some of this stuff off and drag it back when you've got what you're good with. Another way to also clean this up is it's got exposure grayed out for some reason, and I'm not sure why. Let's try RGB color. I'm just going to flip it back. Let's see if that did it. Okay. In CMYK, sometimes some Photoshop commands won't work. In this case, I'm going to flip it over to RGB, and it will now give me exposure. And I can increase the exposure and the gamma. And you see what that's doing for my lines. Right? It's cleaning out all that texture, and I just have lines. And now, if I drag that back, let's flip it back to our CMYK, image mode, CMYK, okay. And then when I drag it back over, oops. Make sure that's locked in the right place. I think it was multiply. It's kind of interesting. Okay, it was multiply. And then I'm going to do the 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and bring down the opacity. And I might want to work with that a little bit more. Also, maybe one of those neural filters will work over here. I get one of the black and white ones. Oops, it's under image styles. That didn't work. Maybe. I don't know, I'm just curious to see what it'll do. Oh, you can say okay. And then drag it over. Make sure it snaps into place. That one's color burn. I like that one best. Okay. So all kinds of things you can do. When you're done, you want to save this as a PSD file, as a Photoshop file. Format Photoshop, okay? Save it as Photoshop. And that is what you're going to submit, okay? Now, because these are large files, when you go to submit them in Blackboard, it can take a long time to submit them. And I recommend that if your files are large, really large, that you zip them and submit them. They'll submit faster. Don't wait to the last minute to submit, because if it takes an hour to submit it and it submits it as late, you have missed your deadline. And while it may not seem fair as a student to why I don't accept late work, understand that when I was in industry, I saw people fired. I saw people ruin their careers because they could not meet deadlines. And I do not want that to happen to any of you. So if I'm hard on deadlines and it results in a 0 for a grade, take it as a lesson learned and understand that it may save you down the road from doing it to a client. And then they don't pay you. And they tell all their friends about what their experience was with you in a negative way instead of a positive way. So understand, deadlines in our industry are sacred, and therefore no late work in school, no late work in your career, okay? So you have all your assignments and all your deadlines at the beginning of the class, and I recommend that you put those deadlines in some format that will alert you to the when they're coming up, that you stay on it, and make sure you're working on a little bit on your class every day, even if it's just for a few minutes. I could go on a whole other lecture about why working as soon as possible and as much as possible is very beneficial to getting your work done. And that waiting to the last minute, you basically lose all that time that you could have been thinking about it in your unconscious brain. But I'll save that for another time. For now, this is the process that you want to go through. Don't copy what I did unless you want to copy what I did to learn it, and then throw away mine and do your thing, okay? So at this point, you should have done your principles and elements chart. You should understand what colors to pick. You see, I talked about, pop art colors, very bright, saturated colors. That made it very easy for me to narrow my palette. And then from there, make the right color choices. And I got something that's pop art. So do the whole chart, apply those principles and elements to your work, and it will serve you well every time. Okay, this is the end of project 1 here. Have fun, enjoy it. This should be a lot of fun. I know it's very complicated. I recommend that if you feel like you got stuck somewhere, you're not in a live classroom, you can watch the video again and stop it, write down notes. go forward, write down notes. Or another good way to go is to watch part of the video and then flip over to Photoshop and try it yourself and flip back and forth. And that actually is one of the best ways to learn and learn new software. Okay, have fun.